Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I am Heather with Rose Hill Paper Cottage, and this is my design team project for Chapter 1 papers. And today I am sharing how I created this waterfall booklet. This is really simple, really fun, and I just really enjoyed it. So I'm just showing some different options, giving you ideas for different ways to do it. And I used a couple of different kits. I used the Aqua and Blue Pretty Mixtures, and then the Faded Pink Florals, which is a new kit that they just released. And I just love how it turned out. You can choose any mixture of papers. Chapter 1 has lots and lots to choose from. Just depending on what overall aesthetic you're going for, it'll be really pretty with whatever you choose. So you basically take, one piece of paper or two. That's really all you need. You could add more if you want to. But I just did, two pieces of paper. I could see this being made like lots and lots and lots. I don't know if actually this has been done before, but I'm sure it has because I've seen those waterfall journals. So I'm sure somebody has done some sort of similar project like this. But I was just thinking of a way to I like simple projects and I like being able to make things, like a lot of something. And so I was trying to think of a way to use, one or two pieces of paper. So I just put an eyelet in this and just kind of wrapped it up with twine. I mean, that's versatile. You could put it wherever you want to. And then you'll see that I backed these with various things. So I used some like piano roll paper and then also some brown packaging paper or like maybe a sandwich bag, I think is actually what I used. And I created a couple of pockets. You could create belly bands. You could put, tuck spots in here. I mean, you could really do whatever you want. And I'm just showing how I basically cut a piece of paper in half and then staggered it. And then I stitched it with the sewing machine. I didn't even back stitch it. I'm wild like that. I just stitched it across. You could, put in some hand stitching, kind of binding it like a journal if you wanted to. I'll make the second one a little bit different just to give some ideas, but you can kind of do it however you want to. You could staple it if you wanted to. So it's kind of a thicker one, whereas this one's going to be a little bit thinner. I won't bulk it up as much, and I've actually printed this on a lightweight cardstock. So I printed an image on the front and an image on the back. And I really love how this one turned out too. So it just shows how versatile, you can make these. And you could actually cut them either horizontal or vertical. It just depends on the overall size of your booklet. I mean, you could have taken the sheet and instead of cutting it in half like I did, you could actually cut it into thirds. So it really just, it's whatever kind of size that you want. Once you mess around with it and, you can kind of see what you can come up with. So right now I'm just kind of looking at the designs and seeing, I'm trying to envision the project finished and what I'll like. And so when you stagger the paper, you may kind of want them all to look the same, or you may want them to look a little bit different. You can also add things to the ends, whether you cover it with another paper, kind of like a collage type thing, or whether you cover it with, fabric, or you could, stencil on it, or, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of different things. So I'm just kind of showing how that all kind of blends in a bit. So I think I'll go with the other set of papers there, just for a little bit more contrast. And that's kind of blended as well. So I'll go with this one so that there is how it's not so uniform looking. It stands out a little bit more. And I liked the way it looked, but the other one is fine too. I mean, it's whatever kind of look you're going for. And so I'm basically just folding them. You can decide how much space that you want in between each of the drops there. But I just kind of eyeballed it and then, did the fold. And I mean, literally, that is how simple it is. That's all you do. And this can look, you could actually have this where it is, this direction or the other direction, kind of like a landscape or portrait. You can have this go either direction that you want it to. I am actually going to have it go in the portrait direction as opposed to landscape. But I mean, honestly, you can do this however you want to. I'm showing how you could put a label on the front. I added like a tag in there, and I'm showing some of the little bits of ephemera that come in the faded pink florals. It's such a beautiful kit. Like, I want to print all the pages off. I just got to see it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. But this butterfly, would make such a great little pocket, and I'll actually end up using it in there. But first, I'm going to create something to just kind of make the first flap a little bit interesting. And so I'm going to use, I'm going to create a tab there. And you could create that with fabric, paper, whatever you want to. I'll actually end up using a tab punch instead. But I think it'd be really cute if, you stitched on fabric or, just created like a rough little like paper one, or used a ticket or something like that. So there's, a lot of different options. So I am going to take some more of the brown paper, and I am going to create a tab with it. Now, brown paper is, flimsy somewhat. I mean, there are thicker ones like grocery sacks, but this one is more of like the sandwich bag. So when I go to cut through it, it's not going to cut through all the way. So if you want to have that really defined look of the tab, you would need to probably glue, a paper that's like this to something else like a cardstock or whatever. But I kind of want it to be messy because that's just how I am. I like it messy. And you'll see as I go to punch it that it doesn't go all the way through, which I knew that was going to happen. So I need to make this a little bit more narrow. Now you can use the tab punch to just, punch like a single tab shape, or you can fold your paper in half like what I'm doing, which when you're working with flimsy paper, it's a little bit more difficult to, get it slid down into there. It works better if you're using a stiffer paper. But anyway, I'll show you up close. You don't want to punch through the very, very top portion if you want that tab to open and close. And I'll show you here in a second when I get it situated. So I just dropped the paper down just a little bit where the fold is on that left side there. So, and I'll give it a few punches just to kind of define it a little bit, and then I'll take it out and then tear it the rest of the way. And you could cut it, whatever you want to do. And then I'll glue this down. Thinking about it now, though, what I really should have done with that tab is I really should have done some spackling on it, like with a stencil. I think that would have been really, really pretty on that brown paper, and just kind of incorporated a little bit more as opposed to it standing out so much from the rest of the patterns. Adding that stenciling, or the texture paste to it, would have been really, I think, really pretty on it. And I could still add it actually after the fact, but I just think that would have been really pretty. Or, stenciling a design on there with like, a light colored paint, like a cream or a white or something. I think that would have been pretty as well. And then the other edges, you could use like the pinking shears or scalloped scissors or something like that. You could use, different things to make the other edges like stand out, freehand, like a design at the bottom. There's a lot of different options. And then again, you could actually add like fabric or something like that. Or how I did with the first one, I added a little bit of a stenciled pocket with the texture paste. And that looked really pretty as well. So, there's a lot of different things. Even adding some lace over the brown paper, I think would have been really, really pretty as well. And then creating that pocket. So I'm just kind of looking at everything, seeing how it is. There's so many different ways that you can, finish this. I could put an eyelet in the tab, and put the twine on that if I wanted to. So what I'm showing next is, this is another piece of the ephemera, this butterfly, which I think is really, really pretty. And I could create a pocket with it, and I think I will, but I'll do it at the very, very back. I like the way that it, how that stamp, peeks out there. So I'll glue it to some book page. That just helps for stability because I printed that image on copy paper. So I went to look for my ruler, but I can't find it. That's where I've disappeared to. So I just end up cutting it out with scissors, but usually I just tear it because it's quicker. I'm forever looking for the ruler. I need to just have a couple of them. I have a wooden one, but it doesn't give as nice of a, like a tear that the metal one does. So I'm just going to glue this in place. You can, you can stitch, you can glue, you can do hand stitching, whatever you want to do. You could tape it, use, washi or age tape. You could glue it and then tape it. You can get all sorts of wild. And look how cute that is. Oh my goodness. It's like it was meant to be. It was meant to be a pocket back there. I just think it's so cute. I absolutely love this new kit. It just reminds me of like that, the brown print and the pinks, the different shades. It just goes so well together. And it just reminds me of this like cozy, comfy, like fabric. I'm like, what am I trying to say? I don't know. And I got kind of lost in the moment there thinking of this like coziness. So I'm just inking, just a little bit, just to kind of unify the piece, because when you cut it and then there's that white core, I always tend to, ink. I'm an inker. So this piece is part of the kit too. I love all the different little pieces that they put into their kits, to choose from. So this little strip is just, just a really pretty piece. And I'm going to make a belly band with it, and I'll use more of the sandwich bag brown paper. These would be so good for like Happy Mail or like the front of a journal. This is a thinner one, so it would work really well like in a pocket, or you could actually glue the whole thing down. You'd need to use more of a sturdy page because even though this book is thinner than the other one, they're still like substantially, heavy compared to like just a tag or something like that. So unless you made it smaller, you could also make it smaller, thinner, simpler. Lots of options. So because I can't find my ruler, I end up like tearing this by hand. I have no idea why, because then I just go and pick up my scissors and do the same thing. So don't be like me. Just grab your scissors and cut it if you can't find your favorite ruler. I don't know why I did that. See? But this is how I work, It's just, I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense what I'm doing. So this is an offcut from when, from the pattern from the first booklet that I made. And I'm just going to fold it in half and glue it. In hindsight, I really should have put the book page in between it like I normally do. But I didn't. And so it's more of a flimsy tag because this is just on the copy paper, remember? So normally I would put, it's a very like thin, flimsy tag. I would have put a book page in between, and then that would have given it a little bit, just a little bit more substance. So, I don't know, I may end up, covering it again on the back side or something like that, just to make it a little bit more durable. But I don't know, maybe I'll just leave it the way that it is. I'm not sure I'm done with the booklet yet. I'm just kind of showing you and giving you some ideas and stuff. And then whatever I end up choosing to do with it, sometimes I'll still alter things, if that makes sense. Just because, something else works better, or I get another idea and I, will change it. So I'm just using this other tag I made from the kit that goes in the first booklet. I just used it to create the tag shape on this one. And I'm just giving it a little bit of distressing around the edges. So I'll add it into the belly band. And sometimes, in some cases this wouldn't matter, but for this particular, look that I was going for, I didn't really like that you could see the tag. So I'm going to, cut it a little bit shorter so that when it's in the belly band that it's slid up a bit, and so that you don't see that. I kind of wanted this to feel like, you didn't really kind of know what was coming with each page, so I didn't want you to know that there was already something there, even though that there is, if that kind of makes sense. So kind of everything is like a surprise in a way. Not that it's like a birthday present or anything, but you know what I mean? Like that, I think there's more excitement sometimes when you kind of don't see, when you can't see or don't know what's coming, it's kind of like fun to flip through. Adding pictures and stuff would be really cute too, that would be really fun. So I'm just kind of showing here how I could have put an eyelet in the tab and then just wound the twine. I could have done it this lengthwise, or I could have done it the other direction. I mean, or you could crisscross it like it is a present. That would be cute too. But there's a lot of different things. I won't end up doing that. I'm going to just take my awl and punch a couple holes in it, and then use some sari silk ribbon and tie a bow at the top. But, this just gives you guys some ideas of just some different things that you could do. And I think, let's see, these would be like 4¼ inch wide, I think is what it would be. Or maybe not quite, because I cut off all the white edging. So maybe 4⅛ or something like that. I can't remember. But if you print borderless, then you would end up, and you have an 8½ by 11 inch page, then you would end up with, 4¼ inch wide. So it's a nice size booklet, but again, you could make it thinner. So, and I was just kind of looking to what it looked like with the sari, just kind of, not going through the holes yet first, but I think it looks a little too bulky. I think that'd be a better option for some kind of twine or string or something like that. So I'll actually go through the holes with the sari ribbon, and it'll end up really good. And I'll tie a little bow on it, and then you can kind of see the difference between the two. But because it's fresh and new, really, and I really probably need to press down the seam, it does have a tendency to kind of want to like flip open. But I'll show what I do to kind of remedy on this one. The other one will be tied around, so with the twine, so it keeps it closed. But there's options for doing that. I could have even added like magnets to keep them closed. That would have kind of been cool, but that would have been more involved. So there's like where the sari is joined. It's obviously like really too thick to go through the hole there, but I'll make it work. But eventually I cut that edge off anyway, because I cut a pretty substantial length that I don't really need. So I'll tie it and then I'll retie it. And then I'll end up cutting that, that part off. But I think it turned out really cute too with the bow at the top. I'll fiddle around with this a little bit just to give it its messy perfection that I'm looking for. But I think it's so cute too. So lots of different options for finishing these. I can still think, just watching it, like lots of different, little ideas. Cause I mean, you could create flip outs, with it too. Like, when you flip it up and then you can flip it out, and there's all sorts of things. You could add an envelope, even to like the back of it that flips open, or that you incorporate into the tie. I can think of like a lot of different things to do or add. So I'll add this paper clip here, and then that's just, my remedy for keeping it closed. I could tie a little piece of lace on there if I want to, but so really super simple. I mean, these can be as elaborate or simple as you want, basically. There's so many different ways to do this. So many different ways. But the idea itself is just a really simple, project, and you could make tons and tons and tons of these, in a very small amount of time. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.